Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
Welcome everyone, I'm Whitney Ward. The state of Washington looking for a way to make gun background checks a bit more efficient. The report revealed that there is a way, but it will come at a cost.
Yeah, it could make the process for a background check faster, but it could also cost more to buy a gun. KREM 2's Amanda Rowley explains what that means. Amanda?
And Mark and Whitney, right now Washington state law requires local law enforcement agencies to run certain firearm background checks. That can add up to about 440,000 checks a year. Now the state's Office of Financial Management recommends a state system to keep the public safer and take the burden away from those local agencies.
The Washington State Office of Financial Management report suggests switching to a centralized gun background check system. Instead of local law enforcement agencies, it recommends Washington State Patrol runs the system. The report suggests this would streamline checks in a few ways. One, by automating the state-level background check, this would reduce the average wait time before a transfer is approved or denied. The report also says the new system would simplify the process for firearms dealers by establishing a single contact for all checks. To implement the centralized system, the report suggests about an $18 per check fee. Previously, there were no additional fees for firearm background checks. The spokesperson for Washington State Patrol says it is still in the early stages of reviewing the report recommendations and how it would be implemented. Democrat Representative Tim Ormsby of Spokane echoes this, but says he's confident in the OFM's expert reporting. Republican Senator Mike Patton of Spokane Valley says he supports the idea, but he says the $18 per check fee is not necessary.
There is record revenue that's come into the state due to the booming economy, and so there's, in my mind, not a need. This should be a high enough priority if it's going to be done that we don't have to do it with additional fees.
Spokane firearm dealer Jeremy Ball says this is a terrible idea. He critiques the potential $18 per check fee, saying it could mean an additional tax on firearm purchases. Ball says this would disproportionately affect low-income purchasers, making it more difficult for them to protect themselves and their families.
Now, Mark and Whitney, that $10 fee that we mentioned would go toward the overall cost of this program, which could be more than $10 million a year.
Okay, so I guess the question is, what's the next step in the process?
Right, good question. So Senator Patton says we could see this report move forward in the upcoming legislative session in the form of a bill or be presented as part of the state budgets. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens there.
Thanks very much, Amanda.
New at 6 tonight, Washington House committee members will be briefed on an investigation into Spokane Valley Representative Matt Shea. They'll be looking into whether he promoted or planned political violence.
Shea has been scrutinized this year after reports in the Guardian newspaper that Shea proposed surveillance on political opponents. Those reports also say he confronted them with the thought of violence. The House committee will review the report on Wednesday.
Spokane Valley deputies are looking for a missing 26-year-old woman who walked away from a group home this morning. An employee says Sarah McDonald left at around 11 a.m. and has not been seen since. They say this is unlike her.
Her family is extremely concerned about her well-being, especially due to recent behavior and medical needs. So take a look. If you have any information, you're asked to please call the number right there at the bottom of your screen. Well, look at this fog starting to roll in near Davenport. The National Weather Service says it's getting really foggy along Highway 2. So if you are planning on driving in that area tonight, you're going to want to make sure and take a few extra moments.
So let's get straight to meteorologist Michelle Boss for more on that fog and what else is in store. Michelle?
Yeah, and the fog's actually starting to spread farther east, so we are starting to get reports of some slightly reduced visibilities out at the Spokane Airport. Right now, not too bad, but that fog could thicken up later this evening. And as temperatures have now dropped down to the upper 20s, we do have to worry about freezing fog as well. Currently 9-mile visibility at the Spokane Airport, still 10 miles at Phelps Field and in Coeur d'Alene and up north in Deer Park. But Moses Lake and of course eastward into Ritzville and Davenport, seeing some reduced visibilities there, 2.5 miles at the Moses Lake Airport. Satellite and radar picture also showing a little bit of light flurry activity moving in from the northwest. Nothing much that I could tell from accumulation. Saw some light snow on area roads, but we also saw some light snow yesterday in these same areas, so could be seeing the leftovers from yesterday. yesterday. Currently temperatures in the upper 20s in Spokane and Deer Park, still above freezing in Coeur d'Alene. Temperatures also in the lower 30s in Moses Lake. A little bit milder down in Lewiston, where they were up in the lower or the middle 40s today. We're looking at plenty of clouds this evening and should actually see temperatures come up a couple degrees during the overnight hours with that blanket of clouds. So we won't have to worry about those chilly lows in the teens over the next several days. Warmer highs in the afternoon as well, despite the clouds. Highs in the upper 30s on Tuesday and highs near 40 on Wednesday.
All right, Michelle, thanks so much. We are continuing now to look into that massive pileup on I-90 last week. That's the one that shut down the freeway and sent some drivers to the hospital. Those slick road conditions caught a lot of drivers and authorities off guard.
Something else that surprised many drivers caught in the pileup: tickets for going too fast. KREM 2's Taylor Vito asked authorities why some drivers who got caught up in the mess still received tickets.
Well, you can imagine a massive pileup like this would be pretty hard to avoid. Many of the first crashes caused a domino effect. Authorities say they often hand out tickets for going too fast in snowstorms, but I talked to a driver who says the ticket was unfair.
The bumper here is kind of coming off a little and it got pretty scratched up.
Dylan Gruel is okay, but his car?
Here you can kind of start to see my tires are a little canted.
That's another story. Gruel was one of dozens of drivers caught up in several pileups that shut down part of I-90 near Geiger Boulevard last week. We should note that Gruel also works here at KREM as a broadcast technician. He said last week's weather on I-90 threw him off.
The ice snuck up on you and it was pretty scary, actually.
Gruel hit the median in an effort to slow down and avoid damaging other cars. His car is now undergoing $6,000 in repairs. But there's another insult to injury: a $190 ticket for driving too fast for conditions.
I was going under the speed limit and I had an incredibly safe following distance.
Washington State Patrol did not say how many citations troopers handed out, but the agency said it was likely dozens.
And when I had asked the officer how fast should I have been going for these types of road conditions, just for future reference, he said fast enough to not crash. And it didn't provide a whole lot of information, and in my opinion, I could have been going 30 and it still would have happened.
So I asked WSP, why give a driver a citation in a large pileup like this when not much can be done? To that, WSP said that first and foremost, tickets are issued on a case-by-case basis, but drivers are responsible for keeping their cars on the road. Swerving off the road to avoid a crash doesn't necessarily earn a free pass. Instead, it's the driver's responsibility to be aware of the weather and to maintain control of their car at all times. WSP says the temperature in that area never got above freezing, so drivers should have expected any precipitation to freeze on the road.
And it really came out of nowhere, to be honest.
I also asked the Washington Department of Transportation what is protocol when it comes to pre-treating roads and what chemicals are used. In this case, I-90 wasn't pre-treated. The agency said that each event happens on a case-by-case basis, but as WashDOT previously said, last week presented a, quote, unique snow event, and based on forecasts they were looking at, the agency wasn't expecting any kind of weather to impact traffic. And we plan to continue asking questions about protocol in these kinds of situations and why drivers are being held accountable. In the studio, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
The long holiday weekend is now over, but look at that. A lot of people having a tough time getting back to work, at least on the East Coast right now. More than 50 million Americans are in the path of severe weather with dangerous heavy snow and freezing rain. At least 6 deaths have also been blamed on storms that hit the East Coast over the weekend.
It's kind of cold out here, and I wasn't expecting this much snow, even though they said it was a lot.
I mean, last year wasn't that bad, so I knew this year was going to be worse.
Goodness, look at that guy.
Jeez.
The Northeast is getting slammed with its first major snow of the season. Winter storm alerts stretch across 15 states. Some areas will see more than 2 feet of snow. In New York, state police responded to more than 500 storm-related crashes by mid-morning. The sanitation department is using salt on the roads, but won't start plowing until there's 2 inches of snow or more.
T-Mobile is bringing its 5G network to Spokane and North Idaho, but there is a catch. To use it, you'll need a new phone that's compatible with 5G service.
So the 5G network is expected to be faster and more enhanced. T-Mobile announced today it lit up the first 5G network nationwide. Spokane, Spokane Valley, and Coeur d'Alene are part of the 5,000 cities included in the coverage. The 2 phones that can access the network are the OnePlus 7T phone and the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. Both are available for pre-order right now.
Wow. Here's this. You might see a new self-driving bus in Riverfront Park soon. The Spokane City Council is voting on a resolution tonight on whether to bring it to Spokane this winter.
The bus will have lasers to navigate its surroundings. That's how it'll operate without a driver, but to ensure its safety, it'll have someone monitoring its activity at all times. So coming up in our 10 and 11 p.m. newscast tonight, Casey Decker explains what this will mean for our city.
Wow.